Everyone, I'm here for my week 2 game for Baws. I'm recording this post-com because my AirPods wouldn't connect. AirPods be my biggest op, nothing new. But either way, we figure stuff out, so that's why we're doing this post-com this week. Next week I'm gonna try and just do it like normal, but we work with the tools we have. So I'll go over my team real quick. I brought Sub 3 attack Darkrai, D-Dance Encore Dragonite. Tail Glow, Acid Armor, Manaphy. Let me go through it again. I can just pull it up right here. Yeah, Take Heart. Excuse me. I got Take Heart, Acid Armor, Steam Eruption, Alluring Voice. Here are my EV spreads. Honestly, I don't even remember what these are for. I think this is like outspeed Salazzle or something, and I don't remember what I was doing. I had a reason to do it, but yeah, this is my Manaphy set. This Metagross is cool. We had Spin Out, Bullet Punch, Earthquake, and Toxic. I brought Spin Out in case they decided to bring Trick Room. This lowers your speed by 2, so that way if I click it, I basically underspeed everything. But you'll see that unfortunately they didn't bring Trick Room. I was kind of hoping they would. That would be some cool tech to show off. But BP, Earthquake, and Toxic. Toxic is for the Crest because Crest is a giant threat to my team. It walls a lot of the Pokemon I have. Especially this Medicham, it literally just hard counters it. Love playing Aegislash week 1 and Crest week 2, so Medicham can just show off exactly why it's broken in this metagame. Yeah, fun stuff. And then we got Clodsire, Heavy Duty Boots, Water Absorb to basically just shut down Keldeo. EQ, Stealth Rock, Shore Up, and Mortal Spin. And then we have Mega Medicham with Fake Out, Mach Punch, BP, and Thunderous Kick. Fake Out, just pretty standard, pre-attack. It kills a turn of Trick Room if they decided to bring it. And then Mach Punch just for the backs, get chip off on the Mawile, Keldeo, Jugulis, etc. But yeah, that was my team. Overall, I think I was pretty satisfied with what I brought into my opponent, but not very happy with how it ended. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that part. But let's see. Yeah, turn 1 Keldeo Medicham lead. The Fake Out is pretty free here. They end up being Rocky Helmet on Crest, which I thought there could be a possibility because most Medicham's moves are all contact attacks, so it's just free chip damage off it. But yeah, go for that. And then I go for BP here because I really can't do anything to this thing. It could have been like Teleport or Trick Room, anything. Crest has a lot of good utility moves in this. So I was really just trying to figure out what they were running. And they end up going for Thunder Wave. They pair my Metagross. Ends up being a little annoying later on, but I miss a Toxic here. I don't know how impactful it would have been. I think it mattered a little bit, but I think I ultimately would have ended up losing anyway. But yeah, I go Claude here, just block the flip turn. Rocks are free, but Bax comes in. This thing is a massive threat to my team. Like, my only really switch-ins are Manaphy and Metagross. And if Bax clicks like Blade Rush, which even though it's stab pawns, I feel like Blade Rush is still its best dragon type attack. Blade Rush is still like pretty free into my team because Metagross is going to get chipped down eventually. They went for EQ here, and I do have a Alluring Voice specifically to check that, but they switch out. By the way, it's pretty free damage, so I just get some nice chip damage off on this thing. The U-turn on my Clodsire. I was worried it could have been like a Sticky Web set, because they didn't bring Trick Room this week, so it could have been Sticky Webs or Quiver Dance. Quiver Dance would have been really scary. I actually had Rock Slide on this thing beforehand, but I had to get rid of it because I really wanted rocks, and I figured I could have played around with like my priority moves and stuff. But they switch back into Baxcalibur, and they don't take rocks damage, so they're not choice banned, which is kind of good for me because that would have been really scary. Eventually, that would have chipped down a bunch of my mons. But they end up being D-Dance, and I calculated whether I lived this. It was like a 6% chance to die here, so I figured I'd just risk it. And thank God I did not get full parried. If I get full parried here, this would have been a massive problem, because even though like I'm adamant on my Mega Medicham, Fake Out into Mach Punch doesn't kill this thing. So I would have at least ended up losing like 2 Pokemon. And I probably would have had to like lose all my HP on Manaphy to deal with this thing. So thankfully we were able to get rid of this massive threat here. And and they bring out Jugulus. I get paired here. I went for BP. I don't really think it mattered because this thing ends up being Oblivion Wing, which that becomes a problem later on down the line because my Claude is my main check to that thing, and I don't really have a great way to threaten it. But I just bring out Darkrai to threaten it now. Click Ice Beam because it's kind of just free. Claude is pretty safe switching the thing. I went for Mortal Spin because like your only switch in to that would be Mawile, but there's no way you're risking that thing like taking an EQ. So it's just a pretty free play to get some nice chip damage off. And then this thing starts setting up. This thing ends up being a big problem. I show up because I just don't want to get chipped to the point where Keldeo becomes a problem. And it ends up being Oblivion Wing, so any damage I got off on this thing is basically irrelevant now. And I have to sack Manaphy. And I picked Manaphy because looking at the rest of their team, it's not best. Like, he can set up on Crest, but he gets outsped by Keldeo. Vikavolt threatens it as well, especially since this thing has Thunderclap. Gets outsped by this, and Mawile could probably tank a hit as well. So I decided this was my least valuable Pokemon, so I had to sack something. I picked that. I end up bringing Darkrai here. I click Sub here. Yeah, so Sub was also pretty free because they have to fear the Ice Beam, because they know that this Pokemon is basically the way to break through my Clodsire. And Sub 3-Tech Darkrai is really good in their team. Luckily, I do have Focus Blast on this thing, and I get pretty lucky. I do end up hitting that one, and then I get my Sub broken, and then this thing gets Bullet Punch. Mean for getting priority moves in this format, like bread and butter, but I forgot this thing had access to Bullet Punch, and then luckily, I lived. I was at like 75, and I hit 2 Focus Blasts too. So love that for Darkrai, hitting all the Focus Blasts. But Keldeo comes back out. I went Metacham. Why did I go Metacham here? Why did I go Metacham? Oh yeah, okay, so I feared that they could double into Jugulus on my Clodsire, and I really didn't have a good switch into it. Because if they went Jug on Claude, if they Nasty Plot, like my only switch in would be D-Knight, and I don't think I'd be able to 1v1 it with it. My other play could be, I don't know, like go Metacham and just sack it, because the Crest is there and it's not as useful because Bax is already dead, Mawile's already dead, and there's no Trick Room. But yeah, I just didn't really have much of a better play, so I ended up going Metacham here. They went for Icy Wind, expecting probably my Claude to come in. Good play, good guess on their part. I just kind of went with a safer play. A little bit of a funny interaction here. I went for Baton Pass. I forgot that I would pass the negative speed stat, so I went into Darkrai because I figured like you probably don't have speed EVs in this thing, so I would outspeed anyway. But it would kind of be really funny if they did outspeed me, and I just lost this thing. But luckily that didn't happen. So Fiery Wrath's pretty free, just getting more chip damage off on this thing. Running Claude, just to wall this thing. I have no real reason not to. Mortal Spin, just because I want to get chip off on this. Here I bring in D-Knight and the Oblivion Wing. Break my multi-scale. Let's see, what did I go for here? Oh yeah, I forgot, they were Taunt. So Taunt was a really good bring on their part. Because, it would shut down Claude. It stops D-Dance from this thing. It stops Manaphy from setting up. So this was a really nasty set into me. So good team building on their prep. Stops me from D-Dancing. But luckily it doesn't really end up being too big of a problem. I'm able to get rid of this thing even though it's recovering a lot of HP. Go for Dragon Darts here just to put it in range. What did they go for here? Yeah, that flinch, I don't really think that flinch mattered, because they were going to die anyway. They died of the poison. My taunt ended. And then here, I go for D-Dance again. I went for D-Dance because I was actually also Encore on this Mon. So if they went for like Moonlight here or something, I would have locked them into it and just kind of set up. And from there, I ideally would have won the game, but that probably wouldn't have happened though, because this thing ended up being Thunderclap. But we'll get to that part. But yeah, I just went for D-Dance, just kind of like force it to either attack into me or not heal. which makes it easier to deal with. So Unite goes down, Darkrai comes in. Fiery Wrath is pretty free here. This thing lives on like 15%. And then here I'm thinking that basically got the game won because Darkrai just clicked Fiery Wrath for free, as long as I keep it alive. And then yeah, yeah, gotta love Thunderclap. Oh, and just me forgetting about priority moves. I really gotta lock in. Like I think next week I'm just gonna go through my opponent's team and just look at any priority moves they could have. Because I literally was in the exact same position as I was last week, where I have Darkrai, as long as I keep it alive, I just win the game. And then I just decide, nah, I'm just gonna let it die, just for fun. And then yeah, game's basically over from there. Like there's not much I can do. Crest just shuts down my team. Um, yeah, I mean I Thunderous Kick here, I guess hoping that they choke and go Keldeo, or just maybe get a crit, then that wouldn't have killed. But then yeah, they just Moonlight here. Cloud comes in. I can't even EQ this thing. Um, Psychic Noise blocks me from healing, so I'm basically just clicking buttons until I lose the game. But yeah, GG to my opponent. Like I said, I just gotta lock in, man. I really just gotta lock in. If I lock in, I know I can make the playoffs. Um, what else is there to say? Like, I don't forget priority moves. If I didn't forget priority moves, I would be 2-0, but I keep doing that. So I'm gonna lock in, I'm gonna come back, and I'm going for 6-2. I think I got this. But yeah, thanks for watching. Take care, everyone.